What's poppin', everyone? VenomousStare back with Sort of vs. Neeb Game 2. Game 1 was very exciting. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. Neeb went for a very straight up, sort of standard safe macro play with the Stargate opener, and we saw that he didn't really commit very much to the Stargate. He made 2 Oracles, only made 1 Phoenix, and then he went into Twilight, went into Robo, and tried to get up his mid-game defense for that Hydra Bane attack that has of course been getting so much play, and it's almost getting old at this point how much we're hearing about Hydra Bane, especially from Protoss players about how strong it is. Oh, Hydra Bane, so good. But we saw Neeb actually did a great job at adjusting to the Hydra Bane. A lot of players, not just Protoss players, this goes for Zerg, Terran, and Protoss, a lot of players can kind of get bogged down, as we see sort of going for a quick expand here in the top left. Players can kind of get bogged down in the old builds and their old style and just trying to make what the old style was work. And Neeb kind of showed in his opening last game that, okay, Stargate is still good. I'm still going to open Stargate to make Zerg make spores and give me scouting information and the ability to keep map control. But I'm not going to make the standard 4 Phoenix like we saw a lot in the past. I'm going to tech into other things more quickly, and that will allow me to have a bigger army in the mid-game for this Hydra Bane attack. Another thing we saw Neeb do last game that was brilliant was he had a Warp Prism out on the map when that big Hydra Bane attack came. And very frequently against Hydra Bane, especially if Lurker's involved, although that's not nearly as popular as just straight up Hydra Bane, we see that having a Warp Prism is just essential to holding that push, because if you let Zerg get a decent economy, which quite honestly it can be very difficult to prevent Zerg from getting a good economy sometimes, they can just amass a very strong, powerful army, and it can be hard if they hit you before you have Splash as Protoss. So what Neeb did there was said, okay, look, I know this army is basically meant to break what I have. It's meant to break an army that doesn't have Storm, that doesn't have Thermal Lance Colossi. It's basically meant to bust an adept player, more or less. If you think about what the Hydra Bane attack is supposed to be good against, well, I mean, it's good against Immortals, it's good against Gateway units. It's sort of like, if you just look at it from the Zerg perspective, it's like you build all the units that die to the Colossi, and then you attack with them at once. And in the past, especially in 2010 and 2011, this matchup was very focused around the Colossus. And if the Protoss player could get up to the money units that were the Colossus, the Stalker Colossus Deathball back in the day, and as the game progressed, of course, the Colossus retained its spot as a very valuable unit. And in Legacy of the Void, the Colossus has really, really fallen off in terms of use, and as far as how many people play with and use the Colossus. Now, I'm kind of hoping that the metagame will cycle back around and Protoss players will figure out that, oh yeah, the Colossus is actually good if the Zerg is just going mass Hydra Bane and is trying to attack off of creep with, you know, slow-ass Hydras and Banelings. Neeb, of course, made a Stalker and an Adept and scouted out. Didn't see much. Did he see the third? No, he didn't, but it's pretty safe to assume that there's a third there. Sort of course, is just pumping drones. He already has 16 in each mineral line now. Of course, he just made a Spore right as I said that, and he's getting the very powerful Overlord speed. Now, it might be weird to hear a speed upgrade called powerful, but in this matchup, it actually is pretty damn powerful, because knowing what Protoss is going to do can be the difference between life and death if you're a Zerg player. Now, even if the speed overlords do get into the base of Neeb, as Neeb is ahead 1-0 in this series, it's probably going to be pretty perplexing, because he sees the Dark Shrine and he sees Chrono Boost on the Twilight. Usually it's one or the other. Now, of course, sort of does have vision of each third. Now, this is the scary part. You not only see the Dark Shrine, so you're like, okay, double Archon drop, but then you see the Chrono Boost on the Researching Twilight, so you think, Adept all in, maybe, okay. I guess Charge Lot Archon would make the most sense, sort of would be trying to think. But then the truly horrifying thing is the lack of third. Am I being all in? Do I see the double Chrono on the gates? It looks very scary. Now sort of is in this position where he wants to be making mass drones and getting up to that beautiful mid-game army, but he has seen that, okay, there's Twilight and Dark Shrine, but then again, his Overlord just got cleared at the 3rd, so lots of mixed signals here. This is so hard to deal with this Zerg, when not only you don't really know the composition, but you don't know how committed the other player is, and suddenly a handful of Adepts and Archons are right at the front door and sort of says, well shit, I'm just going pure Ling. He has a few Queens here, so he has a chance to hold. The Archons pack a punch, but these are resonating glaive Adepts. And look how quickly the Lings fall, as we see the Protoss player Neeb is just crushing through here. 3rd base on the way. This was not even an all-in, and Neeb just puts on a brilliant Protoss display here and sort of GG's. So what we saw here from Neeb was a handful of gates. How many gates? Just 4. But the Dark Shrine and the Resonating Glaive upgrade were both used. And it is sort of this perplexing combination where Zerg is used to one or the other. They get hit in the mouth with both, and they die. So great stuff there from Neeb. He takes a 2-0 advantage. Sort of can't even tech up to Hydra Bane, and Neeb shows once again Hydra Bane might be strong, but you can get around it. There are workarounds for very powerful strategies and shifts in the metagame. And in this instance, Neeb deceived his opponent, even though his opponent went for a scouting focused build, and hit him with a quick little timing that had a 3rd behind it. So this is really the reason that Neeb is so excellent, is moneymaker builds like this, and the fact that he executed everything so well. Make sure you subscribe for more. You want to see if Sort of gets swept or if he can bring it back.